Good evening, everyone. My name is Otis Williams. I'm the Executive Director for the St. Louis Development Corporation. And I apologize because Mayor Slay was slated to be here, but because of illness is not able to make it tonight. But I'm going to open up here and give you sort of a few of the comments that he was going to talk to you about, and that is the importance of the Project Connect effort, but also give you an update on some of the initiatives that have been ongoing and some of the successes that we've had thus far. And so hopefully at the end of the presentations that we have lined up here, that you will be better informed, able to ask questions, and if you still have questions at the end, see some of us as we get to the tables here and be able to get those questions answered up front, up close and personal. So again, since our last public meeting, one of the things that has happened, I believe, has been the announcement of the selection of St. Louis as one of the choice neighborhood grantees, actually the largest grantee within that system. And so $29.5 million granted to St. Louis to basically augment the efforts that are ongoing for Preservation Square. And so that's very key in the whole plan that we have for the north side area here. And so I'd like to thank all of those that have been involved in that effort thus far, and the effort that allowed us to be selected and actually get the largest actual grant from the federal government. So that is just the beginning for that effort, and so as they work through all of the improvements, you will continue to see efforts there and the improvements that were ongoing. So a lot of things is happening. So let me get started with some of the planned remarks that we have here. You see some of the other people that will be talking to you. Have David Berzak from the NGA, and also Isa Reep, so that many of you in the community have met and been in conversations with. So since we last met, one of the things that we talked at our very last meeting, that this project and our efforts here are actually divided into three components. And so the first major component is actually the city's effort to get the site ready. And so this is the city actually, all of the plans and the relocation and acquisitions that we've been involved in, and all of the things that we've been doing to actually get the federal government to select our site, but also our plan for getting the site ready to turn over to the federal government. The second part of the equation is actually where the federal government then takes the property that we provide to them, and they then construct the new facility. That is actually going to be next year, in the year, probably between April and June of 2018 is when that actually occurs. So from this point, January of 2017 to probably March of 2018 is the point where we, the city, will get to get all of the, get the site ready, and in fact, able to turn it over to the federal government. So the third part is the Project Connect piece, which has been ongoing the entire period that we've been doing this. Actually, during the course of our getting the NGA to select us, but also ongoing through the past months, and we'll continue on as we do all of the coordination between the people, the plans that have been involved, and all of the projects that have been identified. So that is what we've been trying to get done. So a little bit about the background for this project. Many of you know that NGA has been in the area for over 72 years, and that this site was selected in June of last year. So that was a big day for us. We actually got first word back in March of last year that we were the selected site. But we went through the record of decision process, and the ultimate decision was in June of last year. So a couple of things. Once we were named for the North City site, it was named as the desired location. There are several things that we promised the NGA and the federal government that we would get done. Essentially, that we will deliver the site as one owner, and what that meant was that we would have title to all of the properties, we would vacate all of the streets, that we would remove all the utilities, that we would demolish all of the buildings, and essentially have a clean site. We would prep that site and be sure that it was environmentally clean. So that is what we promised. Some of the preparation that we will get done is that essentially we had to go through the real estate portion of this, which was to interact with all of the property owners that were there and to essentially acquire all of those properties. To date, we have possession of all of the properties, and we are able to, in fact, convey the property to the NGA. We currently have an option agreement between ourselves and the federal government. The other thing that has happened since we last met is that we have been able to complete the financing agreements with Stifel, which is our finance organization that we're working with, and they will have allowed us to then complete and close on all of the bonds that are required in order to get this site ready. So we have begun the demolition, and I said begun the demolition. We are acquiring through contracts the services of those that can complete the demolition for us. So that will begin soon. There are also RFPs that will be issued for the things that you see here for abatement, other demolition, larger demolition, salvaging, recycling, soil remediation, excavation and grading, and those kinds of things. So all of that is on our homepage, on our website, but also we advertise in publications to make sure people are very aware of that. So at the end of our presentation here, you will have a website that you can refer to that will have all of our RFPs and other things that are available. In addition to that, many of you were around when we went through the archaeological process, essentially. Essentially, we acquired and looked in various locations on this 99-acre site, and a lot of things were collected. They're in the process of curation. They're looking at all of those items. So they're cleaning and documenting what they found and curating all of the artifacts that were found. In addition, I mentioned that all of the properties will be vacated and have been vacated. Well, I think maybe we have one that we're still working with. But there are a couple of things that will happen over the next few weeks. There's one facility that we will move from the site to St. Louis Avenue. That will happen probably not later than the second week of February. And we will begin to construct the safety fence around the site in order to be able to accomplish all those tasks that we needed to get done. And so I'm going to stop at this point as an update on what the city are doing and what we're doing here. And I'm going to turn it over to David Burzak, who's with the NGA. And Dave will give you an update on what is happening as far as the NGA is concerned and with the Corps of Engineers.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is David Burzak. I'm with the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency here in St. Louis. I'm in the Office of Corporate Communications. I want to talk to you a little bit tonight. One of the things that's come up through some of these meetings and in meeting with you in the neighborhood meetings and these Project Connect meetings is some of our interaction with the community, some of our academic engagements, and I want to talk a little bit about one of the programs we have at NGA called our Partners in Education program. Talk about how we can use that to go ahead and interact with the students, interact with the schools, and build some community engagement and relationships as well. Quick show of hands, though. Anybody use GPS navigation system on a cell phone in the last week or so? Anybody? Okay. Did you get where you wanted to go? And it was accurate? That little blue dot knew where you were the whole time? You're welcome. That's one of the things that people don't know so much about us, perhaps, especially here in the St. Louis area. And Otis mentioned about us being here in the early 40s. The Aeronautical Chart Plant was we were formed, and then progressing through the Defense Mapping Agency. When we were out in the public meetings with the environmental impact statement, doing those, for me to talk to somebody and actually notice who we were, I had to say, we're the old DMA. Well, we're not the old DMA anymore. We are the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. We have been for 10 years after being formed as the National Imagery and Mapping Agency, or NEMA, in 1996. When Director Cardillo made that announcement in June, when he signed the record of decision, he acknowledged that selecting that site in North City did the most as far as providing mission support and enhancing the mission of NGA. And he used two different terms when talking about NGA. He talked about Team NGA, which refers to us inside the building, the employees that work for NGA. And he talked about Team GeoInt, and that's what I want to talk a little bit here too. Team GeoInt is much broader than just us inside the facility, who we are and what we do. But that Team GeoInt is essential in how we do our mission and essential in carrying that out. The director has mentioned on a number of occasions now we're entering into a golden age of GeoInt, where there are small satellites out there all over the place. There are so many providers of commercial imagery. In those capabilities, that data accessibility, that wasn't there years ago, that it was kind of a just an exclusive kind of an industry out there. Well, that's broadening, and we have to take advantage of that and really continue to provide our mission, which is encapsulated in our vision statement, where we say, know the earth, show the way, and understand the world. To know the earth, we have to study the earth. We want to know as much as we can about our planet, above the surface, on the surface, below the surface, so that we can go ahead and execute one of our most critical missions, is the safety of navigation. We provide the aeronautical information for military and government pilots to get them safely into and out of terminals throughout the world. And also we provide maritime information to military and commercial shippers throughout the world as well. Those are two critical pieces of information, two mission sets that we can't do without knowing the earth. What do we talk about knowing the earth? We talk about imagery. We talk about other multispectral analysis. We talk about gravitational models. We talk about magnetic models. All those things that influence how our planet operates. And we use that to go ahead and get that sense. I talked about the GPS. One of the missions we do to support that safety of navigation mission is we establish and maintain World Geodetic System 84. And that's a very precise reference system for our globe. And to do that, we monitor the status of the GPS constellation. So we have people inside the building that are astrophysicists and rocket scientists that we track what the GPS stations are doing and provide the Air Force with the calculations to upload to keep that system accurate. You know, ATMs rely on that precision clock. So last time you got money, we were there for you again. But we want to talk about how to interact, and I want to talk about a little bit this next part, this partners engaged in education with academia. If you don't know who we are and what we do, how do you think you might want to have the desire to one day come work for us or work with us as one of these other partnerships? Okay, so that's part of what we are looking after. We know that to build tomorrow's workforce, we need to start today, we need to start young, and we need to have interactions at all levels. And that's what we're going to talk about a little bit here with this program. Partners in education, and afterwards we'll be up here, and I've got the same graphic. We can talk a little bit too. Somewhat these little symbols here, we talk about some of the community engagements, our classroom engagements, and just some of the statistics, and I know it's hard to see up here on the screen. So some of the statistics, our partners in education, you can see there, it's our commitment to advancing science, technology, engineering and mathematics education, or STEM. Our deputy director, Ms. Sue Gordon, has said on a number of occasions that not having students following those avenues, that STEM-based education is one of the biggest threats to national security. So that's kind of our business, so it's important to us. We can't do what we do without some background or and study in those courses of instruction. So we just talk about that. It's staffed, if you would, by volunteers. It's a volunteer program. Last year in the area, we had over 100 people from NGA volunteer, over 700 hours to local schools, science fairs, career fairs, engagements in the classroom, tutoring, mentoring, pen pal programs in 58 different schools in Missouri and Illinois. We recognize that as a volunteer program, more is not necessarily better, because I can't sustain that if we just continue to grow. So we're beginning to try to add some rigor to the program and looking at making that a more outcome-based program. And the outcome being, of course, selfishly, we want you to come work for us. We want the children to come work for us. Study a course of study that is something that, a skill set that we need. And if not working for us, maybe another federal agency, another defense-related industry. And you saw there I talked about Team GEOINT, or go into some other STEM-related field. And we talk about Team GEOINT. I talked about that where the director talks about all those other avenues that go into that. And that's critical to also to NGA succeeding with and in the open. We have to be a little more open on how we do things, a little bit more accessible to some of these programs, to schools and other academic institutions. I want to say too a little bit that sometimes now that that team sport, GEOINT is a team sport, I think maybe it's a contact sport. And not meaning contact that we're bumping into each other and hitting each other, but we're actually coming in contact with each other and we have a connection. And we're working those engagements and those relationships. And that's what's very important and critical to this program. And like I said, afterwards we'll be available to answer any specific questions you may have about the program. But that graphic too, I missed one thing I wanted to say, and I even had a note and I still missed it. But I like that graphic where it's the pencil there, because on that piece of paper, it's time to put pencil to paper. We've got to work together with the schools and get the right curriculums in there, or work with the schools to go ahead and have some of our folks show up to be mentors, or give some sort of a program and work with the children to go ahead and get them interested and follow in those steps. So, thank you, and we'll be available to talk to anybody afterwards.
So I want to thank David and the folks at NGA for being a good partner with us thus far. And some of the things that David mentioned, just a smattering of the things that is ongoing in our efforts to probably partner together to make sure that when they do arrive here in the neighborhood here in North St. Louis, that they are very involved in the neighborhood. And so that's one of the things that they're looking to do, become involved. And one of the things that happened in the conversation immediately after selection with the mayor and the director is that we don't want to build a fence. And so what I want to do here today, they don't want to build a fence around this facility that will necessarily be a huge barrier that would be unsightly. And so they like to be able to show this as being an interactive part of the community. Obviously, there are some security needs that need to be addressed, and they're in the process of trying to identify the best way to get those things done. So one of the things I would like to do here is to be sure to convey to everyone that that the NGA is not a spy agency that is here to spy on you, the citizens here. Okay, they have a national mission that David spoke to, and so I know that there are some, this is election year, and so there are candidates who will say a lot of things to get elected, and I just want to be sure that we convey the truth here about the NGA. It is a federal agency that has a real mission that is focused on national objectives, and it is not looking into the homes of the individual residents that are in this neighborhood. So I want to be sure that that is conveyed. The other thing I want to say is that I mentioned here that we have a partnership with them. As we've gone out to visit the schools, the charter schools, the public schools, the NGA has been with us as we try to go to these areas to try and foster relationships. Those things are working. We're working with other organizations that are out there. And so what will happen here is Isa Arib, who is with Civitas, who is one of our consultants, and also has been the face of Project Connect in the neighborhoods. We'll give you sort of an update on that, and we again also will have conversations with you at the end of our presentation here, where we'll go one-on-one and with you at our tables. So without further ado, I want to introduce Isa Reed, who will give you an update on Project Connect.
Hello. Thank you all for coming, by the way. I love to see this many people in the crowd, and thank you to all the familiar faces. It makes me more comfortable up here. I just wanted to give a brief overview of what Project Connect is for any newcomers in the crowd. So basically, what we're doing is we're creating an action plan that is really being developed jointly between the city and its residents to connect initiatives with both the public and the private sector. And so what we're trying to do is understand the potential benefits and impacts NGA will have on the neighborhood, but also understand what the existing residents need today and what they're going to need in the future, and try to make this the most beneficial for everyone involved as we can. So we are focused on 8 neighborhoods with a goal to identify priority projects that will help keep existing residents and businesses in the area and encourage new growth. And so as you can see on the map, future NGA site is here, and that's where all the site preparation is ongoing right now. And our core neighborhoods are Jeff Vanderloo, Carr Square, St. Louis Place, and those are really the neighborhoods that are going to be most impacted right away. But what we really want to do is we want to turn that word impact into benefit, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. So we have Hyde Park, Old North St. Louis Place, Carr Square, Jeff Vanderloo, Downtown West, and Columbus Square. So those are our 8 neighborhoods. And the way that we're going to identify these projects is we're creating an alignment between the people, the plans, and the projects. And by people, we mean the people who live here, the people who are going to come here in the future, the NGA employees, and we're really trying to understand what all of those different groups of people need. We're working on understanding the plans that are already for this area to make sure we're not redoing any of the great work that has already been done by the residents in the city. And we're looking at the projects. Obviously, NGA is the biggest one that's going to come here, but there are a lot of other projects that are planned and that we expect to be planned in the near future to co-locate near NGA. And we expect a lot of developers to be interested. And we want to make sure that we're aligned with the existing community first before all of that starts happening. So our process, it's a little bit of a complicated graphic, but I'll explain it. So what our process is we've been going out to the community, and this community input here has been really critical to start this. And it's really provided the base for project identification. With that, we also want to understand how the needs of the people can be backed up by our technical processes and our financial processes. And so what we've done is we've started with the community input as our base, and then we did a market study, a traffic model, and a stormwater model to understand the implications of new development in this area, whether it be NGA or any new development. And after we did all of that kind of research phase, we put that all into a financial model, and we started to understand what projects would be financially viable in this area based on trying to satisfy the needs of these multiple groups of people. So I'm going to get a little bit more detail on that piece right now, which is the process that we're in right now. So what that means is that we started the process by gathering a lot of information, going to community meetings, hosting our own meetings, asking questions, listening critically, and you know, it kind of started with small group meetings, trying to understand what people wanted, and then we got larger, and then we went back small. And that's really been helpful to provide a base for project identification, provide a location. So once we've got that base for project identification, the locations where people felt physical needs needed to be met, we went to work on aligning the technical processes. This included both the realities of the development potential of the area, as I talked about the market study, understanding what developers would want, physical data for the stormwater, streets, and traffic. Then we pulled all that information into a financial model to ensure that whatever we proposed would be financially viable. So through this interactive stage, what we really did is, this is me and my team, and what we've done is we've kind of gone back to the community multiple times. We've taken what we've heard from the community, we've gone through 20 different city agencies, both city departments as well as local and regional agencies. We've gone through their staff. We've assembled a technical working group made up of leaders from all of those 20 agencies. And we've worked with our own internal project team who's taking care of the traffic model, the stormwater model, all those technical pieces to make a project happen. And we've taken their advice, and then we've gone back to the community and we've said, what about this? What about this project? How would you feel about this? And we've taken all those, and so this has been a really iterative process. And really it's to gain consensus on the best way to address the concerns that we've heard. So really, and then of course the financial model went into that as well. And so we really need to determine if, how, and when we can get these projects accomplished, because otherwise, why are we here, right? And so, so that's been a lot of effort on a lot of different people's parts. Our team is quite large, and ultimately coming down to what do we need. And I really want to hit on this point. Actually, there's really no playbook for a project of this size and complexity. So we really relied on the community input to help shape the process. So, all the questions and concerns that we've heard, we appreciate those. We use those to our advantage, and we use those to continue to have these discussions with what the community needs. So, because we're grateful, we actually wanted to go through some of the ways that you guys have actually helped us through the process so that we can be a little bit more specific about it. So some of the early requests that we heard, the public meeting number 1 was June 6th, right after the record of decision. And we wanted to make sure we got out there right away, we answered questions, and we took in comments, right? And we tried to get as much feedback as we could. And one of the biggest things that came out of those early requests was to create a variety of ways for the community to engage. So for those who don't know, we have a website through the St. Louis Missouri.gov system, a website for Project Connect, and a website for the NGA site prep team. And that's where you're going to find a lot of information. If you guys are interested in the RFPs for the site prep, or you're interested where we're going to be out in the community on a particular day, check that website. We also keep our Facebook and Twitter updated as much as possible so that we try to get out in as many ways as possible. We're coordinated through the Citizen Service Bureau line, so if you want to just call somebody, you can call us. We have a direct dial. Right now, we are just going by voicemail, so if you leave a voicemail, it does get back to us. Once the site progress starts going, that line will be active, so that, because I think we're going to get a lot more questions and comments during that process when there's things going on in the site. And then we've also established a neighborhood working group, which thanks to all of you, we knew the right people to talk to. That went on a lot of different suggestions from people that we met with of who are the leaders in your community. And we found 18 very lovely people, thank you all, to help us through that and to really be the ones who dig into the details, because it is such a complex project. We wanted somebody who was from the community that was directly engaged in those details. We also heard to recognize cultural history. So as part of the NGA process, we were required to do a historical assessment of the neighborhood, but we took it a little bit further because we understood that people were really interested in this, and this was something that we heard over and over and over again, is what do we do about the homes that used to be on the site? And so there was a formation of what we call the NCC, the Neighborhood Cultural Committee, and then that committee has identified a few different projects to preserve the history, and if you guys are interested, definitely come and ask at our tables, either the site prep table or the Project Connect table out by the lobby. We're happy to talk a little bit more about that. But ultimately, the result of their work will also be posted to the website on a special history page so that you can see the oral history interviews that we're doing in the community, artifacts that we found in the vacant homes, and then also discussions about how we preserve some of those physical pieces of history. So from our last 2 public meetings, this was kind of our 3 top pieces of feedback that we got back. And if you remember, for people that were there, we did little sticky notes on a map. We have the opportunity to do that again tonight. I highly encourage you to leave feedback. We love to learn more about the community. You know, I'm just going to go through these a little bit quicker. So narrow, safe streets. Definitely too many people are speeding out here. Too many people are running stop signs. How can we fix that? Better north-south transit connections, and really, you know, pros and cons to the north side, south side connector study. So with those 2, we're working with Board of Public Service and Streets to identify how we can increase the safety on the streets. We're working with East-West Gateway on the north side, south side corridor study, which kicked off in December. We went to our first meeting there. And so that's a really good step in the right direction of understanding if the corridor is going to happen and how it would happen. We also heard new development should respond to existing residents' needs, grocery and retail development and affordable housing. These are just a snippet of a few of the things that we heard the most often. And SLDC is currently working with developers, open to talking to new developers, really trying to design a process that is open to engagement with people who are here to help the community and here to help be part of the community. From our neighborhood working group, we often talked about these 6 pieces right here. So social services was a big one. Rehab services, what's available for people who want to rehab their homes in this area. With those first 2, we did host a resource fair in November. I have additional information on that at the table out there if you guys would be interested in how we did that and who was involved. Love to give more information on that. And then also CDA is here tonight, and their table is just right back there. We're going to pull this screen up at the end when I'm done talking, and you guys can come up and mingle with everybody. CDA offers a lot of social service support as well as rehab services. So I highly encourage you guys to come talk to Bill. He's like a wealth of information. I don't know where he is. But Bill is your man right over there. So if you're interested, please come up and talk. That's what they're here for. We want you to utilize their services. We also heard a lot about small business opportunities and grants. There are SLDC representatives here, so I encourage you to come talk to us. Jobs. Slate is here for you guys. They are here to talk about, apprenticeship, training programs, and what jobs are available today versus what will be available in the future. We as Project Connect encourage you, if you're interested, don't wait for the job to come here, go to it. Go to Slate and talk to them. And so that team will be set up right here with the red tablecloth. Taxes is a big piece of this. So this one's a little bit complicated, but I'll try to simplify it. So the tax structure isn't one that we can easily control because it's governed by state law. And so what we've been doing is trying to assess the impact on the existing residents from a tax standpoint. From our internal city team and assessor's office, what we've determined is that we do not see the property taxes going up quickly or extremely high in a short period of time. However, we do understand that property taxes are going to continue to increase over time as new development comes, and that can be devastating for people, and we understand that. So because the tax law is not cut and dry, we hired a consultant this month to come in and advise us on this, because what we want to do is understand what we can do for people who don't plan to update their homes. So there are current tax programs where you can get tax abatement if you rehab your home. But that doesn't occur if your home is just staying as it is. And so that's what we're really trying to understand. So More to come at the 4th public meeting in February on that. And if you have any more questions, please come and ask me. I will try to answer as well as I can on that. Developer incentives, and TIF financing. SLDC is working with the regional local agencies to ensure responsible use of TIF and developer incentives. We actually just had a meeting on it right before this meeting, talking to the team at SLDC about how we structure this to make sure that we encourage development, but there's also a responsible use of that money. And so our action plan, which we'll be coming out with in March, will outline some of those items in relation to that. Sorry. So where we're at right now in the process is this project identification. So we've run the financial model a whole lot of times, understand what we're doing, and right now we're trying to identify the best project. So with that, from a physical standpoint, so let me locate you guys here. So this is downtown, River, I-70's here, 6440 is here. This is Jefferson, going north to Parnell to Natural Bridge. This is where the new NGA site will sit. Ignore those buildings, they're just for example purposes. And this is Cass Avenue. So as part of the NGA construction, they'll obviously be, the Army Corps will be constructing the site on behalf of NGA. And then as part of that, improvements will be made along Jefferson and Cass because there will be an impact to traffic, but we also want to encourage people to take transit and ride their bikes and walk. And so we're going to be making some public realm enhancements on those streets as well. More to come on that once we start digging into the details of the project itself. Also, we are going to be updating the I-6440 Jefferson interchange. We don't know what that looks like yet, but we are in a process with MoDOT and Federal Highway, who govern this location, to figure out the best scenario for traffic movement to make sure that, first of all, traffic can flow freely with additional traffic on it from the NGA employees, but also new development around the area. In addition, there should be some surplus land. As you guys know, some of the Chestnut and Pine ramps come up here. This land is all kind of surplus land, so there's also a development opportunity there. Choice Neighborhoods, so happy to hear the news on that. We are coordinating with them and making sure that whatever we're proposing and whatever they're proposing is cohesive and coordinated. Riverfront Park Master Plan. The master plan itself was done for the area, but GRG, Great Rivers Greenway, is currently working on 2 parks along the river to be actually built in the next couple years, so you guys will hear more about that in the news shortly. There's also some developer projects that have been proposed in the area. And then the Promise Zone, North Side, South Side Corridor study, and then Metro's also doing a TOD study in concert with the corridor study to understand where the best locations for stations would be to serve existing residents and new employment centers. So lots of coordination going on behind the scenes. This is just to show you that there's a whole host of time frames. We're looking at 2017 to 2023 up there. Those are the projects that we're currently coordinating. There's a lot longer list. If you're interested, I will tell you all about them. Okay, so with that in mind, we've identified all these projects that are ongoing, right? The things that people are interested in doing. We then went back to the neighborhood working group and we got kind of our hands dirty with some maps. And what they did was, these are just 5 of the examples of what they came up with, but they drew for us where the improvements were needed. So for a little bit of context, this is St. Louis Place Park. These are saying, you know, these should be gateways into the neighborhood. It's important for identity for the neighborhood. We need to improve pedestrian crossing on Florissant. You know, the list goes on and of all these things that came from the neighborhood working group meeting. And what all these boiled down to is 4 items: safety, identity, encouraging local business, and encouraging retail. So we took that into account and we identified with all the projects and the needs of the community, we identified 5 focus areas. And these are the areas that we've been running through the financial model. And obviously this financially viable piece is the 5th item on the list that we've added to make sure that we can actually make these come to fruition. So these are just example areas we're running through, we're calculating numbers, we're doing a lot of technical, boring stuff. So what this means to you. We really feel like with NGA coming, new employees here, the more people you have, the more opportunities there are for new development. Because it's a federal project, it's very well known across the country, and so you start to get interest from different investors, and then you also just get interest in funding the project, right? So what we're doing is we're looking at what are the funding mechanisms out there because this is associated with a federal project. And you know, we think that all of these things are going to lead to increased jobs, not only on the construction side, but also just in general. Businesses are going to want to move to this area. You know, local businesses are going to move here and you know, create those local jobs in the community and knit in. Shopping, we know that that's a big one. You guys are a food desert here. And so we are doing our best to identify opportunities for different types of shopping experiences, whether it be a large-scale grocery store or otherwise. Toilet paper, where do you buy toilet paper, right? I get it. So services, safe streets, as I mentioned, with more people comes safety. You know, it's going out, making improvements to the public realm and getting people on the street is really critical because eyes on the street are going to be your best safety measure. Transit, I already spoke a little bit about that, but we hope that with more people comes more ridership, which means that potentially the buses will come more frequently, or potentially the north side, south side corridor could come to fruition. There's lots of opportunities when you get a larger network of people involved for transit to serve. And then schools. More businesses that come here pay taxes, and you know where the taxes go. So we really want to encourage you know, the proper use of public funding to support the areas around the schools, get people excited about those schools, in addition to getting them excited about the STEM opportunities that NGA can educate them on. Just in general, you know, we feel that this is, I'm very optimistic, but you know, we are all, I think Otis would say the same, we are all very optimistic about this, and it is going to take some time, so bear with us. But we are doing our best to listen to your feedback and get that back to the right agencies and the right people to make sure that that we get something built.